What's going on YouTube? Today I bring you my playoff and award predictions for the 2021 NFL season, the 2022 playoffs, and I did do my record predictions, so if you want to go check that out, that will be in the last video on the channel. I'll leave a link in the description down below. But for right now, going into the playoffs, we have some very interesting matchups here. So taking a look at our bracket, the Chiefs and the Buccaneers holding the number one seeds, big advantages for them, obviously. First matchup, you got Bills and Chargers, which should be a very good matchup. Two high-powered offense. Bills, obviously, a bit more of a high-powered offense. And both defenses that could be pretty good, but do have some respective holes on both sides. At the end of the day, I think, though, the Bills, they have a big advantage, obviously. They're playing in home field. I do think their defense is a bit better than the Chargers. Doesn't have necessarily the same game changers of a Derwin James, a Joey Bosa, but I think if you take it overall, it's a bit better. Brian Daboll, a great defensive coordinator. Brandon Staley, a great defensive mind, but he is the head coach, which is a little bit different. That'll be a very interesting game, but I do think the Bills obviously have the advantage there. Browns and Patriots in Cleveland should be a very interesting matchup. I mean, you have a new up-and-coming team with the Browns versus Bill Belichick and the revamped Patriots. Again, I think the Browns hold a lot of advantage here playing in Cleveland. Their second playoffs back-to-back years, which would be the first time probably since like the early 90s that's happened. I don't know for sure, but it's been a long time. But of course, the Patriots are no one to count out. I mean, maybe it's a bit different without Tom Brady, but we haven't seen the Patriots in the playoffs yet since Tom Brady left. So it'll be interesting to see them in the playoffs without Brady. But again, I do think you see the Browns having the obvious advantage there. Titans and the Ravens matching up for the third straight time in the wild card round in 3 years in a row. Titans got the best of the Ravens first year, and then the Ravens got the best of the Titans last year. So I guess we'll see who moves on this year, but either way, that's going to be a very interesting game. Two great teams, even though the Ravens don't have the home field advantage, I mean, they're still a deadly, deadly team, and they finally started to get over that playoff hump last year. So we'll see what they do with the third straight matchup there. But again, I think just with the fact that they've got home field advantage, the Titans take a bit of the advantage there. Packers and Seahawks, I mean, to me, the clear advantage there goes to the Packers. The Seahawks weren't the best team during the regular season in my predictions. They kind of just snuck into the playoffs in a very tough division. And the Packers, I mean, playing in Green Bay, January, it's probably snowing. They're coming back, giving it their all for one last Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. So I think by far and away, that's probably the biggest advantage in terms of just team and home field out of any of these matchups here in the wild card round. I think the Packers easily have the biggest advantage. So that's a tough game for the Seahawks, but they've pulled it off before in Lambeau Field. Rams and the Vikings playing first playoff game in SoFi Stadium. Because the Chargers aren't at home. So first playoff game in SoFi Stadium, which will later host the Super Bowl. Can the Rams make a run to play in their own Super Bowl? Buccaneers did that last year. They were the first team to ever do that. And it does start out with a tough game here with the Vikings. I mean, that's a very good number 6 seed. Most of the time, that's a division winner, but obviously, you had the Packers. Vikings are going to be a scary good team. Again, advantage just goes to the Rams here just because home field advantage. Vikings, it's not going to be a huge disadvantage, but, they're a team that's used to playing in the cold weather in the playoffs. And, obviously SoFi Stadium, Los Angeles is a bit different than that. I don't necessarily think it's a disadvantage, but it definitely doesn't help them out by any means. So that'll be a tough game. But, again, I do think the Rams have the advantage there. And then Washington and the Niners, that'll also be a pretty good game. I think I'm actually going to give the advantage to the Niners with this one just because going into this game, it's this team that's ready to come back and kind of, make their way back to the Super Bowl after having a really unfortunate year last year. And although I think Washington will be good, I do think that the Niners hold the advantage there, even in FedEx Field. So moving on to the divisional round. Um, Bad transition there. Load, please. I have the Chiefs moving on to play the Titans, who beat the Ravens. I think it's going to be, same result as a couple years ago. The Titans, to me, just I think with the home field advantage. The Ravens did a very good job last year at stopping Derrick Henry, which is ultimately what led to them winning. They did a very good job at that, but I just don't see that really happening again. I just feel like at the end of the day, the Titans are going to be really deadly with Julio Jones. So I have them moving on. And since they're the lowest seed, they have a rematch of the Chiefs, except just this time in the divisional round. Then I have the Bills beating the Chargers. Maybe not that big of a surprise to me. The Bills just easily, the deadlier team all around, so they end up beating the Chargers there. And then the Browns moving on from the Patriots. I think the Patriots will see a return to the playoffs. I just don't see them making that far, especially when there's such a tough matchup with the Browns there at the number 3. That is a very, very good number 3 seed. And so I have a Bills-Browns matchup, which will also be a great divisional game. Packers moving on past the Seahawks. Like I said, I just think there's a tremendous advantage there. I don't think they're going to lose in the wild card. Certainly not. Especially to a Seahawks team that just doesn't have the best defense. That offense is going to tear them up. And in Lambeau Field, I have the Packers moving on to play the number 3 Rams, who get past the Vikings. Again, I just think they hold the advantage. I think they're the better team. Matthew Stafford, I think, is really that final piece to make a true push for the playoffs or for the Super Bowl. But going into Lambeau Field, your next game is not going to be an easy task. And then the 49ers beating Washington. I feel like there's the bit of the advantage there. I like Washington. The roster's great, but quarterback will hold them back in this game. And it'll be interesting to see if Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance is starting. Either way, I think they're better than Fitzmagic or Heineke, and I have them moving on to play the Buccaneers, which is definitely no easy task. So then you have the Chiefs and Titans. Like I said, rematch, but in the divisional round. I think there's a pretty clear advantage here in Kansas City. The number 1 team from the AFC for a reason. That's a tough game for the Titans, especially when their defense, I think, is underrated, but it's not that good. Bills-Browns, it would be a fantastic game. I mean, I think the Browns are a little bit more evenly matched up, but the Bills just have such a high-powered offense. Are the Browns going to be able to keep up? That's a really interesting game. Buccaneers and 49ers should also be a fantastic matchup, but similar to the Chiefs and Titans, I just think the Buccaneers clearly hold the clear advantage here. And that's going to be a very tough game for the 49ers. And then, again, similar case, I think the Rams are a much better team and more evenly matched up. Even though very close in record with the Vikings, I do think that they match up a bit better with the Rams or with the Packers than the Vikings. I think the Rams definitely match up with the Packers a bit better than the Seahawks did. And it's a way tougher game than the Vikings, so is what I was trying to say. So also a tough task, but I do think they're better fit to handle them, potentially. So moving on to the championship games, I have the Chiefs beating the Titans, not much of a surprise there. I like the Titans offense, but that defense just simply is not good enough to keep up with that offense. So I have the Chiefs moving on. And then I actually have a bit of an upset here with the Browns beating the Bills. I really like the Browns this year. They are a fantastic team, and as much as I really want to see the Bills win a Super Bowl, I want to see the Browns win a Super Bowl even more. They're so evenly matched up to where, yeah, they're not as explosive as the Bills on offense, but they still have a great offense and a true ground and pound run game that the Bills just don't quite have, and that might really be what it comes to. I mean, the Browns are used to similar conditions up in the north, so I don't think there's that big of an advantage besides, obviously playing in the Bills Stadium, but I just feel like the Browns kind of have that push this year that I'd really like to see, and I think they make a return to the AFC Championship game for the first time, I think, would be since 1981, so great for them. Buccaneers beating the 49ers, again, probably not that big a surprise. I like the 49ers. Their team's good. I don't see Jimmy G or Trey Lance getting past the divisional round this year. And with such a good team like the Buccaneers, I have them moving on to the NFC Championship. And we see the same NFC Championship from last year, with the Packers also beating the Rams. Again, Lambeau Field, just such a hard environment to go into and win. Lambeau Field is very different from the enclosed Los Angeles SoFi Stadium. Uh, I think the Rams match up better than the Seahawks did, but the Packers are still so talented. Again, that last dance mentality. I have them moving on to their third straight NFC Championship. Can they get over the hump this time? Well, in my opinion, no, they can't. And it's a little lame, but to me, I just think the Chiefs and the Buccaneers are the clear cut best two teams in the NFL. I mean, the Browns and Packers are no one to sleep on for sure, but to me, I think the Chiefs and Buccaneers just match up better. The Bills are a high-powered offense, but even the Bills aren't as the Chiefs still have a better offense than the Bills, and the Bills have a scary offense. So I just don't think the Chiefs are a team where you can really go in and try to do a close run game type thing, which is what the Browns are really built to do. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that with the Chiefs. And with the Buccaneers and Packers, I would love to see Aaron Rodgers take down Brady and go win his second Super Bowl, kind of have that right off into the sunset, even if he doesn't retire, right off into the sunset thing for Green Bay. I just don't think they get over that hump. I talked about it in my record predictions and, in my Packers video that I don't think the team really improved anywhere. I mean, receivers for sure a little bit better, but that's not saying much. I mean, Randall Cobb and Amari Rodgers were not my first picks to make the receiving room better. I didn't like any of their offseason moves, and certainly none of them really helped out the team right now. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be his MVP self from a year ago, and they lost a few core guys, and that just doesn't make for the best matchups when the Buccaneers are just such a experienced yet youthful, talented, well-coached, complete roster. I just unfortunately can't see the Packers, especially going into Raymond J Stadium. I have the Buccaneers, and we have a repeat of the Super Bowl. So in this repeat, do the Buccaneers go back to back with Tom Brady, or do the Chiefs go in and get their revenge? Well, you're gonna have to wait till after we go over my award predictions. And award for MVP, I have going to Mahomes, and I think with a 17th game now, I really think Mahomes could break the record for yards, and even possibly touchdowns. I don't think he breaks touchdowns, but I think he's going to be pretty freaking good. 5,500 yards would be a record, and I think he can do that with an extra game. 45 touchdowns. 10 interceptions, a little bit higher than, say, like Rodgers last year, but, when you're Mahomes, you're going to throw a lot of interceptable passes. He got very lucky, actually, last year with the amount that weren't picked off. He'll put up a good amount of rushing yards as well, and leading the Chiefs to a 15-2 record at the first seed. I think Josh Allen and Matt Stafford are also going to be great. I think Matthew Stafford is going to have an MVP type season, and I think Josh Allen will also continue his greatness. But at the end of the day, I have Mahomes coming back and winning MVP on his revenge to go back and prove that he is the best player in the league right now. So I have Mahomes winning MVP. Offensive Player of the Year, I'm going to give to Alvin Kamara. I think he could have a 2,000-yard season in rushing and receiving, especially with, again, an extra game. I feel like Alvin Kamara could be great. You're going to utilize him a lot more than, a lot of other players on the Saints because they just don't have that many guys to throw to right now. Not only do I think is he going to get a good workload running the ball, but also catching. I mean, we already know he's a great catching back, but now that you have that extra game and, Michael Thomas is probably going to be out till at least a fourth of the way through the season, I think Alvin Kamara could be great, and I have him putting up some great numbers, leading running backs in receiving yards and leading the league in total touchdowns with 18, 10 yards per play, leading them to a 9-8 record. Obviously they don't make it, but they make it quite to the playoffs. But I do think Kamara will be great. Nick Chubb and DeAndre Hopkins are my honorable mentions. Nick Chubb was formerly my prediction. I still think he'll be fantastic with the Browns. And I do expect Hopkins to have a great year as well, but I don't think he can quite win it, over Kamara, who I do expect to have a great year. Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going to give to Chase Young. I think he's going to be great. I could see a similar path sort of to JJ Watt, where he just, he played great in his first year, and I think he gets even better next year, leading the league in sacks, which would, very make his case very high for Defensive Player of the Year. I think he'll put up some other insane numbers, though. 115 tackles, 35 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, and helping lead that defense to an 11-6 record and getting the 4th seed. I also definitely see Myles Garrett, and Aaron Donald is always in the conversation. Myles Garrett was formerly my prediction for this, but I think Chase Young is going to be on another level this year and really establish himself as, the brightest young pass rusher. And end up earning that for his team and be a big reason why they do so well this year. So I think Chase Young's going to be fantastic. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going to give it to Kyle Pitts. I was juggling back and forth between the quarterbacks, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence. And then I looked at it and I was like, well, Kyle Pitts is going to be pretty darn good, and I really do think he'll be the best receiver this year, leading rookies in yards and touchdowns, 80 catches, 14 yards per catch. 4-13 record, obviously not good, but I think Kyle Pitts is going to be dominant. I think it's going to be a similar case for the Falcons to last year, where they're going to put up a lot of great numbers on offense, but their defense is going to let them down a lot. And I don't think Kyle Pitts will be any fault of losing those games, as I think he will be great as a rookie and immediately enter into the league's elite tight end conversation, because the dude is just that good. Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson, I was juggling between them, so they're my honorable mentions, but I do think Kyle Pitts ends up winning the award. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going to give to Micah Parsons. I think he's going to be great his first year as well. He looked fantastic in preseason, and I don't like to judge things off in preseason, but he really did look on another level. I think he leads rookies in tackles. And again, I think he'll put up great numbers besides that. Get himself a pick, force a fumble. He already did that in the preseason, so he might have more than one. And I think he'll get some tackles for loss and just overall be a dominant force for the Cowboys. He is the reason why I think their defense will be better. Honestly, there were not a lot of additions, or re-additions that they made that made me really say, oh yeah, their defense is going to be better. Micah Parsons was one of them, because I do expect him to be great. So he's kind of alone what gives this team some more wins. Obviously the offense is going to be better. I just feel like, again, I already said this, I think the Cowboys hit their floor, but Micah Parsons will be no fault to that, as I think he will be great. It's just a linebacker can only do so much. And my honorable mentions being Kwity Paye and Patrick Surtain, both other guys that also played fantastic in the preseason. Kwity Paye should be a pretty good player in his first year, and Patrick Surtain should be pretty locked down here. There's a lot of guys that could go here too. I also liked Christian Barmore. J.C. Horn played great in preseason. So yeah, even Javon Holland, who I still think could make an impact year one, but I do have Micah Parsons winning it. And then comeback player of the year, I have Dak Prescott. 4,200 yards, 39 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 350 rushing yards. I think he'll have some really good stats. I think after this year, he's probably top 5. Similar case to the Falcons. I just feel like they're going to put up numbers on offense. Every game's going to be a shootout, and they'll win those. They'll win a fair amount of games with it. I just feel like that's their floor, and their defense is going to let them down a fair bit. Not as bad as the Falcons, but still let them down. Saquon and Christian McCaffrey, the other big ones here. OBJ could be. I just don't know if he's going to be that good in return, though. I think Saquon and Christian will be great, but not quite Dak great after coming off such an injury. I think he'll put up great numbers, just the defense going to let them down again, I feel. And then Coach of the Year, it kind of seems like a popular choice at this point, but to me, it's still an obvious choice. I have the 49ers going 12-5, and I mean, after going 6-10 last year, I mean, that's 6 more wins. You get yourself the 5th seed, gets second place in the division where he goes 3-3 in the toughest division in the NFL, makes it to the divisional game after a really bad down year. To me, I think Kyle Shanahan wins it. Bill Belichick also up here, after returning his team to the playoffs just a couple years later without the GOAT. And just such a revamped team, and the way he built it, I think will result in at least a runner-up vote. Bill Belichick actually never won Coach of the Year, I believe, which is a little strange, but, maybe next year's his year. And then 3, Sean McVay, I think, going from kind of just that, it's a good, but, almost mediocre team. Obviously, addition of Matthew Stafford helps, but I think they really, again, enter that elite conversation and, going to the divisional game, at least putting up a good fight, I think should put him in the conversation as well. But I do have Kyle Shanahan as my Coach of the Year. But anyways, so going into the Super Bowl, Chiefs Buccaneers rematch of last year. Tough game. I mean, we saw what happened. Last year the Chiefs got handled. To be honest, Mahomes did not have an offensive line, and his receivers were dropping everything, and their defense did not help. But I think going into year two, same matchup. The Chiefs have an offensive line this time. I don't expect his receivers to just drop everything again. I think their defense is a bit improved in some areas. You've already seen what the Buccaneers can do. I think going into the Super Bowl, the Chiefs come back and pull it off with Mahomes winning a Super Bowl MVP. Again, Mahomes just proved to me in the Super Bowl that he is one of the most talented players I've ever seen. The stuff that he was doing, I mean, running around for 20 seconds, throwing while he's being tackled, 20 yards just for his receiver to drop it. I don't expect his receivers to be dropping like that again. I do think his defense will play better for him. He has an actual offensive line. They understand that the Chiefs can shut down guys like Tyreek Hill. After he destroyed them last year in the season, they saw that they can't just do their ordinary Chief things. And I think Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are smart enough to figure out something to do. And I think it'll be a tough, grueling game. And I can see it going either way. It really doesn't even have to be the Chiefs or the Buccaneers. I mean, it could be the Rams. It could be the Browns. It could be the Bills. It could be the Packers. But to me, the Chiefs just feel like they are going to be the Super Bowl champions next year. Mahomes going off. I'm titling this season Mahomes Revenge because I think it is time for Mahomes to come back and show, no, I will be the GOAT someday, not this Brady guy. And I have the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. Before we go, this would be the draft order based off of the current trades and records and playoffs. Texas picking first, Eagles and Lions following that up, Jaguars, Bengals picking in the same spot. Giants get a pretty high pick there with the Bears doing poorly, higher than their own pick actually. Falcons still around the same spot. Raiders drop a little bit down to 8. Giants again at 9. Panthers with a pretty similar pick at 10, moving up one spot. Jets with a big jump. Again, I think the people are underrating the Jets. Steelers with a big drop. Eagles getting their second pick from Indianapolis, even with Carson Wentz playing. I don't expect them to be that good. 14, the Cowboys. They take a little jump there. Eagles, their third pick from Miami. Then the Cardinals, Saints, Broncos, all just on the outside of the playoffs. Seahawks give their pick to the Jets for their second pick of the draft. Washington, Vikings, Chargers, Patriots, Ravens, Dolphins get their pick from the 49ers. And then the Titans, Rams give their pick to the Lions, Bills, Browns, Packers, Buccaneers, and then the Super Bowl winners, the Chiefs. That is going to be the video, guys. Stay tuned for a mock draft we're doing soon. That'll probably be on Friday. I've got my week 1 predictions coming out tomorrow. So if you don't want to miss those, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any upload. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.